Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Как ваши дела?
Хорошо. Спасибо.
Отлично. Замечательно.
Здравствуйте.
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 Ну, я точно там зарегистрирована.
Есть звук? Да, вот.
Тихо.
Здравствуйте.
Хорошо, тихо очень.
Звук есть? Тихо очень. Так.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Меня зовут Абдурахман Мухаммад Аульмак.
Очень приятно познакомиться. Меня зовут Настя. Откуда вы?
Я из
Хорошо,
Египта.
спасибо.
Так нормально?
Хорошо. Я из
Привет.
России. Очень приятно. Здравствуйте.
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 Дай мне это какую-нибудь бумажку, Вадик. Написать какой-нибудь листок.
Здравствуйте. So, our today conference, Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Our today conference, our today seminar is going to be held in English, actually, because I'm going to speak... Здравствуйте. Because I'm going to speak about a Russian accent and Russian pronunciation, not only for those who have already been studying Russian, but also for those who are interested and would like to begin. So, at first, before we start, I would ask you, please write in the chat about you. I'm really interested in your language experience, in your linguistic background. So please write down where you are from, what your native language is, and what other languages do you speak. So please do it before we start, because it will help me better understand the audience today and restructure maybe my presentation in order to make it more useful for you. So please.
In Russian.
As you wish, in Russian, in English, as you wish. And while you are sending me your information, I would like to introduce myself as well. I'm Nastya. I'm a teacher of Russian as a foreign language, and I work at university, and I have been working there for like 3 years now. And one of my greatest hobbies is learning foreign languages. And throughout my life, I have been learning very many different languages. However, I only speak 3 of them. Russian, it's my native language, English, which has been with me since I was 5 or 6 years old, and Arabic, which I only started 1 year ago. And
That was cool.
Thank you. Спасибо. Yes. I'm really into languages and into learning something new as well. And I think that I have some tips and recommendations for everyone who wants to sound more authentic speaking Russian, and also for those who are thinking about learning other foreign languages. So some of the tips are quite, I think, what is this word? Universal, yes. Здравствуйте. So the chat is empty. There are no students here, I suppose. Okay. So please write in the chat about your linguistic experience. I see. India. Nigeria.
Hey, can I tell something, please?
Yes, sure.
Right. How many years ago your language is like? I listened to you say that your mother language is Russia and English also. And what is different Arabic? How is the words like Arabic words? Like what?
Like what Arabic words I know?
Yeah, please.
Well, I think that my level is approximately A2 or something like this. So I know basics of Arabic, and I can read, I can speak on basic. I can maintain basic conversation, so it's like this, yes.
That's great. All right, thank you.
Thank you for asking. Okay, so please write in the chat, and I think that we'll begin. So at first I would like to maybe to motivate you a bit by stating some very important statements that I have learned, either learned myself or found in the internet. So the first one is that accent is a natural thing. This idea sounds very simple, but still some people, especially when they start learning a new language, they tend to forget that everyone at some period of their time have accent. And it's absolutely okay to have it. And so there is a particular reason why we all have accents when we speak other languages. What is the reason? Why do we have accents when we speak, for example, English or German or Russian, Arabic, and so on? Why? Tell me, please.
I think it's because of our mother tongue.
Yes. What exactly?
The reason why we have different accents is because of our tongue. Because I was born in different place, and you were born in different place. And learning the language, you tend to speak in different ways.
Yes, thank you very much for your answer. Yes, of course, there is a reason why we have an accent. It's because of the difference in our languages and the phonological or phonetic difference in sounds of your native language and, for example, Russian. And if, for example, if I would like to speak Ukrainian or Bulgarian or Croatian languages or Serbian language, I will not have such a distinct accent as if when I am speaking, for example, Vietnamese or Arabic. So the languages that are very, very far away when phonologically from my mother tongue, Russian. So it's quite clear, I suppose. And also one more thing, that there is nothing to be ashamed of if you have a distinct accent and you realize it. The most important thing for you is to realize your problem, what exactly is causing your trouble, and try to work on it. And also another thing, that when you speak to Russian people in Russian, and if they don't understand you, the way that you pronounce the word, and they ask you to repeat it once again, just don't feel embarrassed, just repeat it. Because the fact that the person is asking you to repeat it once again, it means that the person is really interested in what you are going to say. And so they sincerely want to understand you. So don't be ashamed and just repeat it. Because I myself, when I speak to the Arab speakers, and sometimes I mispronounce the words and they ask me to repeat it, and I feel so embarrassed, like, oh my God, I'm failing the whole Arabic language right now. And so where is this whole year that I have been studying it? Where did it go? It's all for nothing. But it's not like this. The mistakes happen, and even the native speakers sometimes mispronounce the things due to their articulation peculiarities, as to say. I can see some Arabic here. Okay, I will read it a bit later. Okay, so the first tip I'm going to give to all the speakers of other languages is to try and learn to differentiate between voiced and voiceless consonants, because as you may have already learned, Russian language the Russian phonological system contains both voiced and voiceless consonants. And like, for example, B, P, G, K, D, T, Z, S, Ž, Sh, V, F. So those pairs of voiced and voiceless consonants may like interchange. Like, for example, in the words, I'll start once again. You should not only learn about voiced and voiceless consonants, but also about the assimilation or the adaptation of these consonants in the speech when we are speaking. So, like, for example, when I speak English, when I read in English, I read the consonants the way that they are written down. Like, if it's the word bed, I say bed. I don't say bet, bet. because bat is that night creature that flies in the sky at night, and bad is like плохой, a bad person. And in Russian, it's vice versa. The absolute end of the word is the weakest point for the consonant. So if you have a voiced consonant at the end of the word and the next word doesn't start with the vowel, for example, you just pronounce it like its voiceless pair. Like here, for example, in these examples. Please help me read them correctly. Who wants to read? Who wants to read? Some practice.
Can I read?
Да.
Okay. End of the word, the weakest position for a consonant. Dub.
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 Gorad.
Город.
Kholad.
Холод.
Moroz.
Мороз. Мороз.
Нож.
Нож.
Laz.
Глаз.
Не. Смотрите. З, с.
Класс.
Глаз.
Хлеб.
Hey, I have a question, please.
Давайте.
Is noj is like knife?
Нож, да.
All right, thank you.
Так, хлеб. Дальше.
Газ.
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 Газ. Запад.
Пат.
Гид. Отлично.
Тат.
Сад.
Флаг.
Флаг. Флаг.
Гриб.
Гриб.
Отлично. So, when we have the consonant at the end of the word, it's always voiceless, even if it's the voiced sound. Okay? Is that clear? I hope that's clear. Okay. So the next peculiarity of Russian language and Russian speech is the soft consonants. As for me, I suppose that Russian is a very beautiful language, not only because of its awesome grammar, structures, and cases, and so on, but also because it contains the soft consonants, not only the hard ones, but soft ones as well. And here are some rules which may help you to sound more Russian when you speak Russian. Those are the following. After the no, not after, before the vowels a, o, u, e, the consonant is always hard. If we are speaking about I, ye, yo, you, ya, and a soft sign, this one is not, it doesn't have a sound. It's just a sign that that tells you that please make the previous consonant softer. So before these ones, ye, I, you, yo, ya, we make the sound softer. Let's try to read it. This one, please. Who wants to read?
Я хочу.
Подождите, Ариша, стоп.
На тему.
Сейчас. Хорошо, давайте, Ариша, вы первый, текст, небо, нет, давайте, потом другой. Давайте.
Текст. Текст. Небо. Нет. Ответ.
Молодец.
Кофе.
Кофе.
Билет. Вирус.
Отлично.
Вирус.
Молодец.
Коронавирус.
Да, конечно. Так, хорошо. Who wants to read this one?
Да.
Давайте.
Привет. Люди.
Мгм.
Любить.
Мгм.
Плюс.
Мгм.
Мед.
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 Мгм.
Нет.
Мгм.
Яд.
Снять. Ага. And this one also tells you that you should make this softer. 5. Снять. Ага. Хорошо. Отлично. Молодцы. Очень хорошо. Так, сейчас удалим это все. Хорошо. The next very peculiar feature of Russian language is the sound R. It is not only present in Russian, it's also present in, for example, Spanish, Italian, as far as I know, Arabic, and many other languages as well. But it is not present, for example, in English and in German and in French. So, for example, when Russians speak English, they sometimes tend to replace the authentic English sound R with R, and it sounds a bit like, hello, my friends, I am a teacher of Russian as a foreign language. So R, it's a very distinct Russian feature, yes. And maybe if you have watched some Hollywood movies, they're Russian, and if there are Russians there and they speak English, they usually mispronounce the English words and pronounce them in a Russian manner, like with a R. So next time you see it, pay attention.
Nice.
Yes. Also, the Russian sound Х, хорошо, хороший, холодно, хлеб, yes. Холодильник, конечно. It's not like in English. In English, we have a very soft sound like, so it's like breathing. And in Russian, it's harder. It's not ha, it's h. So you have to make an obstruction with the back of your tongue there, like it is showed here, like this. Х. Да, по-арабски, да. Можно ха или г, it's something in between.
арабский.
Хорошо. Хорошо. Еще, yes. Ай. Так, хорошо. The next Russian sound is V. V. In English, there is a sound which is represented with the letter W, W, and V in English as well. But in Russian, we only have V. V. Например, вагон. Вот.
Взять.
Взять. Правильно.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, да, не WhatsApp, а WhatsApp мы говорим. ВКонтакте. Вторник. Не в. Because of the assimilation.
Залив.
Да.
Можно говорить залив.
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 They are pronounced in the same spot here. You have to bite your lip with your teeth and say v, 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 f, f, f. So you say v and you use your voice, and you say v and you don't use your voice. You just breathe and say f, like in a whisper. So v is a voiced consonant and f is a voiceless one. Yes, that's it. The next thing I would like to pay your attention to is the intonation. Intonation is really important in Russian. Why is it so? I think that first of all, it's very important because it may help you differentiate between the question and the statement. Because when we form a question in Russian, we don't usually change the word order, and we may not even add any words. Like, for example, I may say, Он здесь. Он здесь. It's a statement. Он здесь? It's a question. So in order to sound better when you speak Russian, please learn about the intonation. And for example, I have only stated the 3 intonation patterns here. However, there are more of the intonation patterns in Russian. The first one is for the statement, and it is characterized with a gradual fall by the end of the phrase. Like, for example, я изучаю русский язык. So you don't go up, you don't rise your tone, you just go down by the end of the phrase. As for the special questions with the question words, like, for example, когда ты придешь? Когда ты придешь? By the end of the phrase, I also like lower my tone and the intonation falls down. But the fall is sharper here. In the statement, it was more gradual, and in the second one, in the special question, it was sharper. Когда ты придешь? Где ты сейчас? Что ты изучаешь? And so on. And the third intonation pattern is for the general question, or yes or no question. It's like, for example, вы любите русский язык? Вы любите русский язык? So I raise my voice, I raise my tone on the word любите. Вы любите русский язык? But by the end of the phrase, my intonation still goes down. So in the majority of cases, there is no need to rise your intonation by the end of the phrase. For example, I have noticed that some Arabic speakers, especially from the Gulf states, like for example, Saudi Arabia, they tend to rise their voices by the end of the statements, not only the questions, but the statements. And so that their phrase sounds like a question, but it's not right. So at first you may help yourself with your hand like this. You may help yourself intonate.
Okay, I'm doubt. Can I ask it?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to enjoy the time and ask him something because we are talking about intonation. There are some words in Russian language, like I don't know well what is the difference between sh and sh. Even though sometimes I use this word, but like foreign, you know, I don't know well. I wanna know what is the difference when we can use sh and sh, because it's the same, something different only.
Do you mean the sounds?
Yes, the sounds.
Sh and
like
j?
accent, you know, accent.
I'm sorry, I don't, I'm not sure I quite understand. Can you please repeat what exactly? Like the sounds sh and j?
Sh. There are 2 words like sh and sh. There is a difference only in accent. I want to know what is the difference and when we can use in this word.
Can you please write in the chat those things in
yes,
yes,
I'm gonna
please.
write. I'm writing right now.
Okay, so please write it down, and after that I will answer your question. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so let me check the chat for the languages and nationalities and the countries. So here we have the students from India, the students from India, from Zambia, Algeria,
from Egypt,
from
Egypt,
Spanish language, Congo, Brazzaville.
All right, dear
Vietnam.
teacher, I just write it.
What's the difference?
Yes, between these words,
Ch and sh. Like, just a moment. This, no, not
right.
like this. This one. Ch, sh, like this. Look at the screen. You just wrote what's the difference? Ch, sh. I see.
The first one, I think the first one is t. The second is sh.
So the first one is pronounced like ch in a change. To change. Ch, ch. And sh, it's like sh. Yes, I see. And sh is like there is no equivalent of the sound in English, for example. Sh, так, ch, like in the word change, ch, and sh, like in the word.
شيماء إيه برا بس بالإنجليزي شيماء.
Шука.
Щи или да, вот можно, например, слово щи, щука. So ch is pronounced closer to your teeth.
Это по-английски SH, да?
Курка.
По-английски SH.
В английском, ой, извините, в английском ч, вот это ч.
SH.
Yes, it's like what this one. Ch. Yes, H. Yes, H. And sh. Okay. If you don't mind, we can go on after. We can proceed with ch and sh after our seminar. You can send me your questions and I will gladly answer them, because right now I'm not ready with this particular sound.
All right.
Очень трудно.
Thank you.
Трудно.
No,
Yes.
нет, не трудно. It's not really difficult, but it requires them requires me to be some time. Yes, of course. So let's move on. So here I have some tips especially for those whose mother tongue is Chinese. As I have been teaching Russian to different people from different countries, I still have noticed some particular features that cause some trouble to the speakers of Chinese, and those are the following. At first, I recommend you to pay attention to the following sounds: r, l, and n. R and l, as far as I know, in standard Chinese language, there is no difference between the r and l, and some of the students may not even differentiate between the sounds r and l when they listen to them. But I highly recommend you listening to as many audio materials as you can, and practice, imitate, record yourself, and try to differentiate between r and l. As for the n sound, if you have any trouble, because I also noticed that people from particular regions of China sometimes have trouble differentiating between n and l, and when they pronounce the words that contain l and n, they sometimes mispronounce them, and instead of saying l, they say n. So if you have this kind of problem, I recommend you practice articulating l sound like this. So when you say l, your mouth is not shut, it is open, and the air goes here, and you can feel it with your hand, like l. When you pronounce n, the air doesn't go out of your mouth, it goes through your nose, and you can feel it if you put your hand here. The nose will vibrate. So try it. N, l. When you say l, it is not vibrating. When you say n and it vibrates, it means that you are pronouncing it correctly. As for the j and sh, it's also a very typical mistake that many Chinese and Vietnamese students usually make. J and sh. J is a voiced consonant and sh is a voiceless consonant. So in order to differentiate between them and to pronounce the words correctly, you have to practice. You have to listen more, record yourself, and repeat after the speaker until you clearly hear and can produce the difference between these two consonants. So these consonants require work, require practice for you. And the last sound that I highly recommend for Chinese speakers to pay attention to is V. Sometimes some Chinese students tend to say W instead of V. In order to pronounce V correctly, you have to bite your lip, your lower lip, like this. В. Вечер. Вместе. В городе. And so on. So that's like this. So, dear students from China, if you have any more trouble with the sounds or something like this, please tell me or write it in the chat and I will try to explain it to you. And now we are moving on. I also have some tips for Vietnamese speakers, which is to practice reading long words, collocations without a pause between syllables and words. What have I noticed? Last year, I used to have a group full of Vietnamese students. There were 10 of them there, and not everyone, but the majority of them tended to divide the word into syllables, like здравствуйте, not здравствуйте, but здравствуйте. I understand that, as far as I know, Vietnamese language contains the words that consist of 2 syllables or 1 syllable, and sometimes maybe 3 syllables, but not more. And I understand that the Vietnamese people are used to making pauses between maybe every 2 or between every syllables. And when they are speaking Russian, they tend to divide the speech into syllables as well. But it's not necessary when you speak Russian. If you want to avoid this mistake, please listen and repeat after the speaker, after the authentic Russian speaker, and try to stop yourself from pausing between different syllables in one word. And instead of привет, it's better to say привет. So like this, not like this, but like this. Also, I would recommend to pay attention to the following sounds. Z, S, those are a voiced and a voiceless consonant. J, sh, as I have already mentioned. They are not produced in the same spot. They are a bit different. And as you may see here, S and Z are produced here. J and sh are produced here, but you don't just touch your the skin of your alveolus after the teeth, behind the teeth. You just put your tip of your tongue closer to the skin, but you don't touch it. If you touch it, you will get something like r. But if you don't touch it, you will get something like j, sh. If you put the tip of your tongue behind your lower teeth, you will get the sound z, s. Just try it, practice it, record yourself, and listen until you can differentiate between them. And also, I would pay attention of the Vietnamese students to the whole bunch of voiced and voiceless consonants, like b, p, d, t, j, sh, v, f, g, k, d, t, z, s. But primarily to z, s, j, sh. Those that are like, I forgot the English word for that, but to these ones. And if you have any more trouble and you are a Vietnamese speaker, please write it in the chat and I will try to comment on your trouble as well. And here are some tips for Arabic speakers that I have noticed myself or found in the internet. I have already mentioned about the intonation, but the intonation is mostly, I can refer this tip to those who speak the Gulf dialects of Arabic. And I would also recommend to pay attention to the vowel sounds O and U. Because I know that the students from Arab countries can produce O and U clearly. There is no problem with that. However, sometimes, for example, when I say a word that contains U, the Arabic speaker may think that I said the word that contains not U, but O, and write down O instead of U. So it's not a very big problem, but it also requires some work on it. So someone in the chat asks me to speak Vietnamese. So I'm sorry, I cannot speak Vietnamese, but I will do my best. And also, as for the other tips for Arabic speakers, sometimes they say, instead of pronouncing they say I, like in the words ты, you, and вы, you. Sometimes they say T, не ты, а T. Why does it happen? At first, you should realize that it happens not because you cannot pronounce I correctly, but because you tend to soften T sound there. Just remember that the T sound there should be hard, like T, не T, а T. And say ты, without making T soft. Or just try to pronounce E after a hard T, like T. You cannot do that because it's physically a bit impossible to do that, to pronounce E after a hard consonant. So just practice T. And another thing is to pay attention to the consonants B and P. In order to know the difference between these two sounds, it's better to listen more, record yourself in the audio, and listen to yourself. So that you don't say baba, but papa. Actually, this problem is not very widespread among the Arabic speakers, and it's usually those students from the Gulf states that tend to have this problem as well. As for the other regions of the Arab countries, I haven't noticed this feature quite a lot there, but still it exists. Okay, and here are some questions from the students from Vietnam. How can we say le at the end of the word? That's a very good question. How to say le at the, yes, how to say le.
Dạ Việt Nam cơ.
Le. So in order to pronounce le, you have to pronounce l and do it like this. Le. So you have to, yes, you have to smile a bit in order to make it softer. So it's not l, but le. When you do it like this, your consonant becomes a bit softer. Or yes, like this. Yes, and try to say Lena. When you say Lena, Lena. Вот, отлично. So, you can pronounce Lena. So now you have to practice pronouncing it at the end of the word. Yes. Can you reteach how to pronounce R? So, in order to pronounce R...
Можно вопрос?
Да, конечно.
А почему ты говоришь по-английски только?
А как еще надо?
Можно по-арабски?
По-арабски потом. По-английски, потому что у вас было написано, что Russian accent and pronunciation in English. That's why I'm speaking English. Yes, I speak Arabic. But not everyone here speaks Arabic, so I better not speak it here. and not to be embarrassed as well. So how can you reteach how to pronounce R? R sound. Подождите, пожалуйста. Can you please?
All right. What is the problem here? I am another group, all right? I have a friend from my country. He's gonna speak English also. Because he done everything what you say. This is like listen, all right? Because he ask you, you cannot speak Russia, right? Because, you know, he's living here like 6 months ago or 7 months, like that.
Хорошо. So at first I will answer the question in the chat, and after that I will explain you why I'm speaking English, not Arabic, and all the other things. Thank you very much. Спасибо большое. В чате. Хорошо. So as for the sound R, which many students have a problem with, it's pronounced, you have to put the tip of your tongue on the alveolars, which is, I will show it to you now, R, like this. Like this here. You have to put it here and start producing a sound. R, 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 R. At first, it will not have like R. You will have R, 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 R. Yes, and for the beginning, that's enough. After that, you will have to practice it more in the words and in the syllables as well. But at first, you have to realize where it is produced. It's produced in the alveolars, right behind your teeth. R, R, R. That's it. And here are some general tips for everyone, I guess. I highly recommend you listen and imitate more, record yourself, and of course, watch your progress. For example, when I learn foreign languages, I usually listen to the texts, read those texts several times, and then I record myself in the audio. At first, it takes me about twice as much time as the original speaker to pronounce the same text and to do it correctly. But then, time after time, when I practice the same or different texts, it gets easier and quicker and much, much better. So in order to check your progress, you have to record yourself. It's a very, very useful tip, I suppose, and it helps.
Здравствуйте, преподаватель.
Здравствуйте. The next one is, don't worry if you pay too much attention to phonetics at first when you start studying a language, because it's easier to learn how to produce sounds right from the beginning than to relearn how to produce them later. So it's much, much easier to learn how to do it than to correct the things that you have already learned. And also when you speak to other people, at first you may also think about whether the sounds that you pronounce are correct or not. And it's also okay. You may also try tongue twisters. As for me, I don't usually try tongue twisters in different languages when I learn them, but if you have particular problems with particular sounds in Russian, you may find a tongue twister or a couple of them specifically for those sounds and try them. It may help you as well. Also, if you have such an opportunity, I think that you should ask native speakers to listen and correct your mistakes. And when I say ask them, not only to listen to you, but also to correct your mistakes. Because I suppose that, for example, when you're speaking with a Russian person, a very tactful, not tactless, but tactful Russian person won't, I suppose, correct you, won't correct your mistakes. But if you ask the person to correct you if you make any mistakes, then I think that he or she will gladly do it. And also there is a question, can you please tell us when A is pronounced and when O in the middle of the speech, and how do we know that? It's quite simple. If you have a word and if you know where the syllable or where the stress in the word is, like for example, молоко, Молоко. O is under thread, the last one. That's why.
Молоко.
Yes, that's why I pronounce it like Malaco. So it's the pronunciation. But unfortunately, when you listen to the person who is speaking Russian and you hear a lot of A and a lot of O, you can only define where the O is. Because, for example, if I say молоко and you don't know this word, you cannot be sure whether I write down молоко or молоко or молоко. You only know. Да. So you just have to know the way that this word is written in order to write it correctly.
Я не знаю причину, но
Да.
Сейчас я понятно, мне понятно.
Хорошо, отлично. Can you make the difference between ye and e? Ye is the sound that we pronounce with a smile, and we usually have ye after yes, like text after soft consonants. So a soft consonant plus ye. Текст, тебя, тема, реки, and so on. It's ye. It's quite narrow. Your mouth is narrow. But when we say like in the word это, our mouth is not like this. It's like this. Это. So we need more air in order to produce this sound and more space in our mouth. Ye, So it's like an article in English. An apple, a tree, a woman, and so on. Can you distinguish between sh and sh? I can distinguish between sh and sh because I'm a Russian speaker. But in order to do that to you, you will have to listen more and practice more. Sh.
I think it's the first. It's the same, like I made.
Sh and sh?
Yes,
I see.
The same question.
Все, я поняла. I thought that you had ch there. Okay, sh and sh. I think that at first you should understand where the sound is articulated. Like sh, I will show it to you. It's sh here. Sh is here, and sh is is here. Not up but down. It's sh. You have to put your mouth on the bottom of your, not mouth. You have to put your tongue on the bottom of your mouth and pronounce sh, like sh. Be quiet, be silent. Sh. And sh. Sh is articulated in the top and sh in the bottom. I understand that now you may not hear the difference between it, but when you practice it more, when you yourself pronounce it many times, you will start differentiating between them. There is no other way, unfortunately.
But I think the difference between this word sh and sh is only when we are writing. When we are speaking, there is no, we can know a big difference. The difference is only when we are writing sh and sh.
Actually, there is. Смотрите. So the word шина. Шина.
Почему ши? Почему ши?
Ща, да, правильно. Почему ши? Simply because we cannot write down I after sh, and we cannot pronounce I after she. I write down I, shina, but I say it's like I. Sh. Sh is like it's hard. It's not soft. Sh, shina, and sh, it's a bit softer. Sh. Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. And the last tip. The last tip is actually it may sound childish to you, but it works with children, so I guess maybe it will work with everyone as well. Imagine that you are Russian and speak your native language or English with a Russian accent. So, for example, when I taught small children and I taught them English and they had some trouble with pronouncing the English sounds, and they usually said the things with their thick Russian accent, I just told them, hey, Andrei, imagine that you are an Englishman and you are from Great Britain and you are learning Russian. So speak Russian with a British accent. And he started like something like Здравствуйте, меня зовут, я из Англии. And he just replaced the sounds of his native language with the sounds of the English language, the language that he was learning at the time. It may not really be so different for you, for example, when you speak your mother tongue with the Russian accent, but if you speak English with a Russian accent, it may work like this. Hello, my dear friends. Let me speak English with a Russian accent, and this is my Russian accent, and I replace all the English sounds with Russian sounds, and I don't put any effort at all. So it's the way that I pronounce English words without speaking and applying English articulation. So you may try the same thing with your mother tongue. And if you would like to have some fun, you can write down the phrases in your mother tongue in the chat, and I will try to pronounce them with the Russian accent. So if you would like, we can do that now. So if you want to have some fun, you can write in your mother tongue a small phrase, not just a big text, in your in the chat, and I will just demonstrate you how it can be done in order for you to practice at home after that. Come on. Is anyone writing, or am I waiting for nothing? And if you have any questions,
Вам можно говорить по-русски, потому что я не знаю язык.
Конечно. Вы говорите по-русски, я говорю по-русски. Да, вы можете написать по-вьетнамски что-то в чате, по-вьетнамски. Я могу прочитать с русским акцентом. So you can write down something in your mother tongue in the chat, and I will try to read it with a Russian accent so that you know that your mother tongue can also sound Russian as well.
У меня есть вопрос.
Давайте.
В какой ситуации слово «же»?
«Же» — это просто как? Я говорила вам. Я же говорила вам. Я же — это просто делать сильнее, сильно. То есть я же говорила вам. Эмоции. Emotional. Же. So it's like emotional. That's it. Okay. Ferrocarril. 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 Carril. Ferrocarril. Это испанский. Я вижу. Хорошо. Да, это девушка написала в чат. Мария Эскобар wrote in the chat.
Какие языки вы знаете? Какие языки?
Я знаю русский, английский и арабский.
Wow.
Бонжур, 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 бонжур.
Французский.
Да, французский, бонжур.
Да, французский.
Так.
Французский тоже.
Апкесахо, апкесахо. Какой это язык? What language is this? Апкесахо. Это... Так, я знаю, как правильно сказать, но я скажу ксинчао, ксинчао.
Да,
Ксинчао, да. Мархаба, мархаба. Мархаба.
Мархаба.
Я знаю, я говорю.
Мархаба.
Я знаю.
Неха. Буква Х, ниха.
Я знаю, я специально говорю сейчас с русским акцентом. Это специально, it's for a reason. Туми лимон на чё? А чё? Туми лимон а чё? Той янбан. Той янбан. Апкеса, ох, хинди, понятно. Насиль синиз. Это похоже на турецкий. Это турецкий? Насиль синиз. Насиль синиз.
Сколько язык вы знаете?
3. Русский, английский, арабский.
Арабский?
Да. И не мархаба, я нормально говорю.
Арабский не трудно.
Не
Просто
трудно, да.
мархаба.
Трудно, да?
Не трудно.
И ваш родной язык?
Мой родной язык русский, конечно. Амипхало ачи. Амипхало ачи. Я надеюсь, это что-то хорошее, а не плохое. Что, почему, Ариша?
Вы знаете французский?
Французский нет. Я умею читать, но понимаю, но говорить не могу.
А почему вы знаете арабский язык?
Я год назад начала изучать арабский язык. Мне очень понравилось, и я его...
Россия или другая страна русская?
Что?
Арабский, где учиться? В России здесь или?
Да, я в России, я сама учу. Я не... Сама учу.
Легкий или трудно для вас?
Очень легкий, очень хорошо. Похож на русский.
Вам можно свободно говорить арабский, да?
Свободно нет, но разговаривать могу, да. Свободно нет. Так. Иим
Знаете
абим.
написать по-арабски?
Да, конечно. Иим
Замечательно.
абим бавони. Yoruba language. Бавони. 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 Иим абим. Так. Иим абим бавони. Все, отлично. Так, хорошо. Итак.
Ты приехала в Вьетнам или нет?
Нет, я не была во Вьетнаме. Надим, как по-русски я говорю. Надим, по-русски Надим, по-арабски Надим, одинаково. Тукурманчизани. Тукурманчизани. Что это такое? Я надеюсь, что вы пишете только хорошие слова. Я не говорю на этих языках, и я не знаю, что это значит. I hope that you are writing down very good phrases, not bad ones. Тойгетбан. 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 Все.
Вау, очень отлично.
Кейфальхаль. 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 Валид. 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 Я знаю, я говорю по-русски. Я знаю, что это неправильно. Я специально говорю по-русски. Килонсе. Килонсе.
Слово «привет» по-итальянски.
По-итальянски? По-итальянски бонжорно? Не знаю. Не знаю. По-итальянски. Ай, так.
Я восхищаю вас.
Спасибо. Дахкетук Джамила Джиддан. Спасибо. Кома эстас? Салям. Бандхат тингс. Ассалям алейкум. Ва рахматуллах. Ва баракатуху. Анта Джамила. Спасибо большое. Я думаю, пора заканчивать. I think that it's time to finish now. So, and at last, tell me, please. Так, was the presentation? Yes, of course, I will send you this presentation. And tell me, please, was the presentation useful for you? And if yes, why? And what are you going to use?
Yes, the presentation is useful for us.
What exactly?
Yeah, because we can differentiate between the two letters, how to pronounce, the way of using, and also, for example, the questions asked by the students, other persons, the differentiate between the O, A, when to use, and also hard consonant. We can when to use, when to stress the word, when not to stress the word. So somewhat, yeah, not somewhat. It was so beautiful presentation, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much.
My review on the presentation.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I will
you.
send it to you. Of course, please write down your emails in the chat and I will send you all the materials. And you can also send me a letter here if you have any questions afterwards. Анастасия. Вот. И еще, of course, we have been together with you for 1 hour only, and so 1 hour is not enough in order to discuss all the recommendations and tips. And if you have more tips and recommendations for other students on how to improve their pronunciation, and if you use them yourselves, so please tell us now. It will be useful for everyone, I guess. And also, if you have any questions, please send me your questions via email. I have written it down in a chat. And thank you very much for coming. Спасибо большое, что пришли. Очень рада была с вами познакомиться, с кем-то не познакомиться, а еще раз увидеться. I was very glad to see you. Да. Спасибо вам большое. Я желаю вам успехов в учебе. I wish you luck in your studies, and I wish you learn as many languages as you want, because I will not ever tell you that Russian is the most wonderful language, because all the languages are wonderful. And if not Russian, then learn something else. That's it. Хорошо.
Желаю вам хорошего дня.
Спасибо большое, Тиен. Спасибо. Я вам тоже желаю отличного дня.
Я очень хочу встретиться с вами.
О, коронавирус.
Да.